Hello, and welcome to another Blind Visionary Publications product review. In this episode, we're going to be looking at Tales from the Smoking Wyrm issue number 7. This is the standard version, which oddly enough has come out before, due to a scheduling conflict, before the limited edition, although all the Kickstarter backers will get the limited edition as promised. We start with this really striking bottom-up perspective, or what you call the worm's view perspective illustration by Joel Phillips. And this is a take, this is the moments right after the battle that you saw on the cover of issue 6. And you can see most of our main protagonists that have been kind of hanging around for a while. They're holding a tentacular because there was a huge tentacular fight on the cover of issue 6. And up here in this corner, you can see the host. And interestingly enough, Joel Phillips has taken this image of the doorway into the smoking worm and the host, and he has mirrored it over here in the host image at the front, where he's welcoming in this young halfling, who I think will become important later. We have a nice title page, and the standard edition, essentially the second printing of the book, the standard, but this edition only, is missing the two little pieces of art that would go here flanking the title page due to a printing error. And so that's the only 200 copies will have that, but after that, we'll get it fixed. The first main article that we have is this short little article, What If Your Players Are a Bunch of Disrespectful Warlocks? By Jose Cardosa, and it is just a couple of inspirations for the judge who has players that don't want to listen to their patrons. It's illustrated very nicely by Daniel Vance. I have to say this is one of my favorite pieces that Daniel's ever done. I especially love the toes on the whatever this giant baby is here in the liquid. He's just done a wonderful job kind of eliciting that travel through the underground type of scenery that we saw going all the way back to the Dungeon Master's Guide, AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide 1st edition. And then that follows up with Culpepper's Herbal. In this episode, we cover Balm and we cover Foxtail Barley. And I had a lot of fun writing both of these, and I actually had quite a bit of fun illustrating them. And I think for all of you out there who believe that you cannot be an illustrator or an artist, all you have to do is look at the progression of my art, because I illustrate all of the Culpepper's Herbals. Look at the progression of my art from issue 1 to issue 7, and you can see that with practice and some patience and just some iterative, repetitiveness, you can get much, much better, something that's passable. I have to say I'm really happy with this piece especially, and the Foxtail Barley came out just great. I'm super happy with that as well. Both of these are interesting herbs to add to your game, and especially Foxtail Barley, which is a cereal. Obviously, it's a grain. It doesn't flour per se, but what you can do is we provide you with some ways in which you can dry it, mill it into flour, and then boil it and everything, and add it with different types of other herbs to create different dressings and stuff like this, like ointments and things, and stuff you would cake on to a wound, or things like that. And so we had a lot of fun writing these. And then we move into Caniv, who is a new patron. He's the demoniac lord of mysteries and enigmas. And here you can see him in this illustration by Sean Langley, kind of rising up out of the flames and the smoke and just being kind of there and obscured and mysterious and everything. And I have to say that the quotes that we're using here from Umberto Eco, Sherlock Holmes, and the X-Files really kind of sum up Caniv for us. This is a Lord of Mysteries and Enigmas, and that's what he should be telling you and giving you. And there's some danger to using Caniv, but there's a lot of rewards as well. It's got a great invoke patron ability. Patron taint is really long, but also really involved. And it really plays on the creepy paranoia that you saw in TV shows like the X-Files and Millennium and things like that, with interlopers and people lurking in the corners and everything. We even have a paranoia sub-table for when your patrons or your adherents to KNIV go a little bit over the deep end. And that is followed up with kind of an alternate existence table where you could be changed beyond normal ken. This is the first illustration piece by a new artist. I'm sorry, his name is Joshua. Let's look it up. Josh Rising. Josh Rising is a new artist we're going to be working with, and I think you're going to see his work mature over the next couple issues really nicely. We're really enthusiastic to work with him. Then we get into Spellburn with KNIV, and again, it's fairly involved. There's lots of options here, and some really cool stuff that can happen to your character and everything. Not as overtly physical. Many of these things are mental, so and deal with kind of the mysteriousness of the world and everything. The patron spells. Hidden and Mysterious, KNIV's Obfuscation, and Aura Reading allow you to do things like investigate hidden mysteries and bring them into light and open, working with secrets and things like this. KNIV's Obfuscation, and again, here's a nice Josh Rising piece. This is really, really cool. And Caitlin, the designer, actually colored the stars to match, so it looks like you're opening the side of the veil of the world. Really neat. But KNIV's Obfuscation allows you to hide things in plain sight or in extra-dimensional portals and things like that, which is really kind of cool. Great for the spur-of-the-moment need, right? And then Aura Reading, this is the beginning of a series. We didn't have room to fit a full article about auras into this booklet because it's going to end up being like a 20-page article. But we start with it here, and so this allows you to look at a person's aura, gain some colors, a knowledge of colors around them, can interpret some of the intensities, look at granularity and shape. So what exactly is this edge kind of shape? What does that mean? Gain insight into whether or not that person's receptive to you and things like that. And so there's a lot that can be learned from auras. We have an entire article coming for it that is very DCC specific, and then I think I might actually spin that off into another publication for non-DCC people, because aura reading and dealing with the astral sight and things like that and astral vision is something that's not really well explored in many games. We follow that right up with some patron missions for KNIV, and so there's as is normal for this series, 7 patron missions. Jay Tanaka does a great job of illustrating these. And we always love to see his work. You can see that some of these are pretty robust. And so, the point of a patron mission, remember, is to just drop it into a game when you need it. If the player does something that kind of, invokes his patron in a way, or if he's invoked his patron numerous times and needs to, as a judge, you feel that needs to be kind of balanced with some work for the patron. These are meant to be able to drop in and take up a couple of days' time in terms of game time, maybe a session, maybe 2 sessions, to help flesh out that sandboxy feel. And as a matter of fact, this is really cool, but there's a nice tie-in to patron missions. This is the DCC character folio, and if you go to the patron section, where we deal with spells and spell notes and everything. But if you have a patron, you can write that patron down, and every time you invoke that patron, you can actually mark that off so that you can track how much in debt to your patron you are, which we think is kind of a really useful role-playing tool, right? So the patron missions have a really nice tie-in with that DCC character folio. Those aren't available right now except for through the Goodman Games web store, but we'll be bringing them back out fairly soon, I think. In a Kickstarter, we're going to expand that into an MCC product as well. Again, 7 of these really nice little crazy, totally unique little quests or side adventures and everything for somebody who follows Canev. These were written by Jose Cardosa, and he did a great job on them. I couldn't be happier. And then finally we come to kind of the largest article in this issue, actually the one that dominates it the most, and that is Hero Crawl Classics, Finding Heroism in Appendix N by James Spahn. And I have to say, I had a lot of fun working with James and developing this article and getting the most out of what he was writing. It's illustrated here by Justin McElroy, which is a new artist as well for us. Justin's done some great work, and you're going to see him in issue 8 as well. What James is talking about here is more kind of that high fantasy, C.S. Lewis, Tolkien type of stuff, and how you can move from that less gritty, or move away from the grittiness of like Poul Anderson and everything, into this more heroic fantasy. We start out with some alignment motivations to help you get your characters motivated. James then goes on and talks about magical obligations, how it's high fantasy but often low magic, and then lots of of the kind of things that are the trope items of heroic fantasy that allow you to really work in some unique flavor if you're using this heroic crawl classics, right? And including some modifications or potential modifications to high elves. Then we get into this great section on heroic hearts. This is really tweaking other classes and everything and determining how they might be slightly different. We cover the dwarf, the halfling, the thief, and the warrior. James did a great job with these. Again, we've got some Jay Tanaka art down here to really kind of highlight it. Really nice stuff. And then a section on how the hero is never alone, and relationships and bonds of loyalty. And bonds of loyalty, I think, are really kind of cool to look at. These bonds kind of give you benefits based on relationships, and these could be with non-player characters, right? The people who you encounter in the surrounding area and everything. They give you benefits, and maintaining those relationships is really important in a Hero Crawl Classics style game. And then bonds, so dealing with loyalty and everything. There's a loyalty mechanic in here that's really nicely done. Overall, Hero Crawl Classics is just I think a really great alternative way to play DCC that brings out some unique flavor that we haven't seen previously. Certainly we haven't seen it with rules mechanics to support it. And now you have that. James finishes up with the corrupting influence of evil, providing some alternate corruption tables and everything and stuff. And these are very flavorful and everything. And he ties it all up together with a quest and some final words and everything, and then some great further readings. And all of these are things you should take advantage of and really check out. There's a lot of the stuff that you kind of expect to see in here. David Eddings, Raymond Feist, William Goldman, Tolkien and Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. And then as an editor, I added one at the bottom, the Ea Cycle by David Zindel. I have to tell you, I'm a huge David Zindel fan since I was a teenager, probably for the last 35 years. And so the Ea Cycle is this epic, heroic quest. And if you can find copies of it still, you should check it out. Wonderful stuff. Joel Phillips provides us with the 7th installment of the Onward Retainer. And really nicely well done. I think Joel did a great job on these, and it's a full 3 pages, and it really begins to flesh out some of the stuff that's going on here. Finally, we have the shortest worm words we've had in any issue, with only just like 11 new words that you might want to know the definition of and everything, including the answers to the issue 6 word search. And so that leads us to the back cover, the menu. Remember, we had Angsty Warlocks, Culpepper, Zerbil, Canev, Patron Missions, Canev, Hero Crawl Classics, Onward Retainer, and Wormwords. And that's it. That's a full issue 7 of Tales from the Smoking Wyrm.